In the midnight ocean, a small black fish drifts beneath a meal that seems physically impossible. The black swallower is scarcely hand-sized, yet its belly may contain a fish longer than its hunter. Its mystery begins not with monstrous size, but with ordinary anatomy, stretched toward an extraordinary limit. The verified animal is Chiasmodon niger, a deep-water predator known from specimens recovered across warm oceans. Some captured individuals carry intact prey folded inside greatly distended stomachs, direct evidence of oversized meals. Those specimens reveal the result, while the unseen approach, seizure, and swallowing remain much harder to observe. No camera sequence has yet made every stage of a natural attack routine knowledge. Instead, anatomy and stomach contents let investigators reconstruct a cautious sequence from contact to engulfment. The predator must first secure a mobile fish where darkness offers little room for visual pursuit. Then flexible jaws, recurved teeth, and expandable tissues turn capture into a slow contest of leverage. If you met this fish alive, its modest outline would conceal the capacity preserved specimens make unmistakable. The spectacle is not a limitless appetite, because every body still obeys geometry, oxygen demand, and risk. Oversized prey can nourish the swallower for days, but it can also become a dangerous burden. That tension drives the investigation. How does a small hunter gain from swallowing beyond its apparent scale? The answer lies in a rare ocean where encounters are uncertain and missed opportunities may not return soon. Chiasmodon niger belongs to a family of predatory fishes adapted to deep pelagic water. Its dark pigmentation reduces reflected light in a realm illuminated mainly by faint bioluminescent flashes. Large eyes suggest vision remains useful, although darkness prevents researchers from assuming exactly what the animal perceives. The jaws open widely, and the lower jaw projects forward beneath a relatively compact skull. Long, backward-pointing teeth help resist prey moving toward the mouth's opening after the first bite. These teeth do not chew flesh into pieces like mammalian molars, or saw prey into convenient portions. They function more like retaining hooks, while alternating jaw movements may advance the victim inward. Mainstream interpretation compares this process with ratcheting, but direct natural footage remains too limited for certainty. The body wall and stomach can expand dramatically as swallowed tissue passes behind the rib region. Loose connections between supportive structures permit expansion without requiring the predator itself to grow permanently enormous. Stomach is muscular, elastic chamber, not an empty balloon waiting at full volume. As prey enters, folds in its lining flatten and connective tissues accommodate increasing pressure. Measurements from collected specimens demonstrate exceptional distension, yet popular claims often exaggerate a universal maximum. Meal size varies, preservation can distort proportions, and a single remarkable specimen cannot define every individual. Researchers therefore compare predator length, prey length, stomach condition, and the degree of digestion when records permit. These comparisons verify that prey longer and heavier looking than the predator can sometimes be consumed. Length alone is deceptive because a slender fish may fold more readily than a deep-bodied one. The swallower's own narrow body also makes the expanded meal appear even more disproportionate. If you picture a rigid tube swallowing another rigid tube, the observed specimens seem impossible. Living tissues are flexible, however, and prey bodies bend as the predator's stomach extends around them. Deep water adds pressure, but equal pressure inside and outside tissues does not mechanically force the prey downward. The swallowing work comes from muscles, jaw movements, body flexion, and the prey's decreasing ability to escape. What remains unknown is how often this success follows attacks on prey, approaching the predator's greatest manageable size. One hypothesis proposes that the swallower attacks tail first and walks its jaws forward along the captured fish. Backward curving teeth would make each gained position difficult for struggling prey to reverse. This explanation fits anatomy, yet it should not be mistaken for a completely filmed behavioral sequence. A head-first capture could reduce resistance from fins, but evidence does not establish one universal orientation. Prey identity also matters, because spines, body depth, and muscular strength change the difficulty of engulfment. Stomach records include recognizable fishes, though digestion often erases the features needed for secure identification. Another question concerns how the hunter detects prey within the sparse mid-water landscape. Its eyes can receive limited light, and nearby animals may reveal themselves through bioluminescence or movement. The lateral line can register local water displacement, but its exact contribution during attacks is not directly measured. Chemical cues might matter at close range, although no evidence supports an elaborate tracking ability unique to this species. The conservative picture is a patient predator exploiting a rare encounter once prey comes within reach. Oversized consumption then becomes an adaptation to scarcity, not proof of constant gluttony. One successful capture may provide energy that many smaller, uncertain hunts would otherwise require. Yet carrying a huge meal increases drag and can reduce the agility needed to evade another predator. Digestion also needs oxygen, enzymes, and time in cold water where metabolic processes proceed slowly. Gas produced during decomposition can become especially dangerous if prey deteriorates before digestion controls it. Some black swallowers have been found near the surface with inflated abdomens and partly digested prey. The usual interpretation is that internal gas increased buoyancy and carried the burdened fish upward. That interpretation is plausible and consistent with recovered specimens, but ascent histories are rarely observed directly. Not every enormous meal ends this way, and surface recovery strongly favors individuals whose meals caused unusual buoyancy. This creates a sampling bias. Failures that float are easier for people to find than successful digestions below. Nets introduce another bias by collecting animals across broad depths without preserving their exact behavior before capture. Stomach examination supplies direct dietary evidence, while trawling depth offers only an approximate environmental context. Consequently, the strongest claim is simple. The anatomy permits extreme meals, and preserved contents prove they sometimes occur. Everything about attack frequency, success rate, and typical prey choice remains less firmly known. This feeding strategy makes ecological sense only when benefits occasionally outweigh injury, immobility, and failed digestion. The deep pelagic realm contains patchy prey whose abundance changes with depth, current, and daily vertical migration. Many potential prey rise and descend, carrying surface-derived energy through darker layers of the ocean. The black swallower intercepts a small part of that moving biomass and packages it into one prolonged digestive event. When you follow that energy, the grotesque silhouette becomes a link between migration and deep-water food webs. Its meal may support growth, maintenance, and reproduction through periods when no suitable fish passes nearby. After digestion, wastes and respiration return nutrients and carbon compounds to surrounding water at depth. The predator itself can feed larger fishes, so its stored energy may move onward before reproduction occurs. Oversized feeding, therefore, connects individual risk with the transfer of carbon through a sparsely populated habitat. It also illustrates why deep-sea bodies often favor flexibility over heavy armor or powerful continuous swimming. Soft expandable structures cost less mass than permanent bulk, although maintaining them still requires specialized anatomy. The swallower does not violate scaling laws. It temporarily rearranges its dimensions around a flexible package. Comparisons with snakes are visually tempting, but independent evolution produced different skulls, muscles, and aquatic constraints. Its strategy should be understood on fish terms, within buoyant water and a prey field without solid boundaries. Human encounters mostly occur through fisheries surveys, stranded specimens, museum collections, and occasional surface discoveries. These records provide valuable anatomy but rarely show undisturbed movement in the animal's normal pressure and temperature. Bringing deep fishes upward can deform tissues, alter gases, and obscure the condition they possessed before capture. Researchers, therefore, separate features consistently preserved across specimens from changes likely caused during ascent. Responsible reconstructions show possible mechanics without inventing speed, struggle duration, or dramatic killing techniques. That restraint makes the genuine adaptation more remarkable, because the documented stomachs already exceed ordinary expectation. The animal's hidden ecology reminds explorers that spectacular specimens can overrepresent rare failures in a largely unseen population. A successful oversized meal may quietly sustain growth and reproduction without ever producing a surface record. Repeated observations would reveal whether tail-first engulfment is common, occasional, or simply an anatomical inference. Such encounters may cluster around migrating prey layers, but present records cannot establish that environmental pattern. Laboratory mechanical studies of preserved tissues might estimate stretch limits without claiming living performance directly. Comparative examination across Chiasmodon specimens could test how body size, sex, and maturity affect stomach expansion. Genetic identification of digested tissue could clarify prey categories when recognizable structures have disappeared. Together, these methods would distinguish spectacular exceptions from the normal feeding ecology of the species. They could also reveal how often abandoned attacks leave injuries that museum stomach surveys never record. If you return to the opening darkness, the crucial event remains hidden between encounter and swollen silhouette. Small jaw must find purchase, flexible tissues must yield, and a struggling fish must finally pass inward. The fossil-like stillness of a specimen cannot tell us how long that contest lasted, nor can a floating individual prove that every oversized meal is fatal or even unusually reckless. What science sees directly is an expandable predator containing prey that ordinary proportions would seem to forbid. What science infers is a ratcheting capture strategy shaped by scarce encounters and concentrated rewards. What remains unknown is the full behavior, frequency, and cost of choosing the largest available opportunity. The black swallower's impossible-looking feast is therefore real, but its success depends on limits we are only beginning to measure.